Let's talk about the guys the Sixers most likely target to return next year.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your, your team every day. LinkedIn Jobs help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free on linkedin.com/slash locked on NBA. That's linkedin.com/slash locked on NBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Hi, I'm Keith Pompey. This is my right hand man, John Mitchell. We got a lot to talk about to you today on this Monday. First thing we want to talk about guys who most likely the 76ers, if you had to pick and choose the three guys or the guys who will most likely return, most likely they would target, we'd talk about those three. One would be um, Nico Batum, Kelly Oubre, and Kyle Lowry. So we'll talk about that. Second segment, we'll talk about players, free agents that we really haven't been talking about, or guys that they could trade for who we really haven't been talking about that could possibly be good fits. The one guy we'll really talk about is Zach LaVine. And then the third segment, we'll just give you a surprise you. So listen closely because you're going to like what we talk about. But Mitch, when I wrote a column yesterday in yesterday's paper, and it was about three guys who most likely could come back to the Sixers. And here's the deal, huh? The thing is, and the guys that I feel like are, and people told me sources are Nico Batum. He's a guy that he could get some money from them. Not a lot, and I mean it's a lot, but not like how it was. Some people were saying that he could come back on a minimum, a minimum deal, but they like him a lot. To whereas, I believe they're going to probably give him more than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another guy, Kelly Oubre, right now, let's say if they have a max slot, they'll have a mid-level exception that they can give him of $8 million, and he could probably make anywhere from 6 to 8. Now, the third guy is Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry can, come back and be the leader. The question is, he's older up there, like with LeBron. But he was a great leader for the team once he came. Is he willing to take a minimum deal
to be home and play for the Sixers?
To play for the Sixers. So those are now again, guys have to agree to these deals. Now, if somebody throws some money at Kelly, I don't expect Kelly to come back. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't expect that. But if they get a max slot, meaning they get another max guy to go along with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, he may be in store for a mid level or something like that. So, what's your thoughts on those three guys?
Keith, I do like Batum. I especially like the way he played in the postseason. That they needed somebody to step up, and he was there to do so. I also think that part of him, I think they like to keep Joel happy. They want to do little things, that will keep their big man happy, to keep him happy. And I think that he plays well alongside Joel. So I like him. I like his maturity. I like what he brings to the locker room. He's still a decent defender, and he can shoot the three. So, and it's not going to cost him that much, I don't think. The guy that they're going to have a hard time keeping, I think, is Kelly Oubre. I know they had him on a minimum deal this year, but I mean, and you wonder why. I mean, he was just hanging around towards the end of free agency last year with no suitors. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think that teams are going to say, you know what, maybe finally after all these years of watching Kelly Oubre Jr., he is an asset. I mean, 76ers. You don't want to talk too loudly. But I think there's going to be more of a market for him, this offseason. And Kyle Lowry, I like Kyle Lowry because of the way Nick Nurse used him. Number one, I know it sounds cliche to sound it, but he is an extension of the coach when he's on the floor. He's also a guy, I think he helps Tyrese Maxey with development. I think he's a guy, and he's also a good player. I mean, we saw some games last year where he stepped in and provided, that filled that role and actually can still score. He's just, he's getting up there. But I like the way he was oftentimes used as Nick Nurse would play the two of them on the floor at the same time. And at times he had Tyrese on the ball. He did that pretty often with him. And I think that was because Lowry is so mature as a player. Lowry knows how to win and has a high basketball IQ and is very familiar with Nick Nurse wants to get done. So you can, they're become very suspect at the defensive end when those two are on the floor together. But when Tyrese is rolling, it kind of mitigates, the fact that you got to have a very, very solid defender out there. When he's rolling, it kind of mitigates that. And that's going to be his forte as a guy who gets rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I like all three of them. The only thing is I'm a little, I would like to see, I know the one thing you talked about, Kelly possibly, getting team throwing money at him. I'm a little wait and see on that one. And, and the reason why I'm saying that is because there was 3 instances that he had this year that if I'm a team, I need to do some investigation and before. Yeah. And the one was when he was when he was on the bike and he said he was hit by a car.
Right.
But there's no surveillance cameras of a car hitting him. Right. That's the one. The second one was when he was your mama, your mama, your grandmama, all this other stuff, right?
I kind of felt him. I felt him on that, though.
Yeah, I felt him on that too, but it's sometimes you gotta relax, right? A little bit. Yeah. And then the third one was when after game 2? When he wrecked his Lamborghini, ran a red light and hit a car. So to me, it's kind of sort of like if I'm a team, and I like Kelly a lot, but if I'm a team, I'm saying
red flag.
Yeah, it's like 3 red. I mean, like if it was just one of them, right, or if it was just your mama, the whole thing, that's cool.
That's the NBA.
That's the NBA. But when you add that on top of crashing the bike, but there's no surveillance camera of a car accident.
Yeah.
And then you run a red light. I mean, that's what it said. He ran a red light and hit somebody and wrecked it and totaled his Lambo. So to me, it's kind of like, we'll take you, but are we willing to pay you a lot of money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, and I think the bicycle incident was a little bit overblown. I really do. And I just say that because I mean, while there are cameras everywhere all over the city, those cameras don't catch everything, folks. Let's not be naive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. And number one, because as my grandmother said, what he eats don't make me fat. You know what I mean? So if he's running around here all crazy, as long as honestly, if you're a fan of 76ers, you need to be more concerned about policing some other things in the city as opposed to the behavior of a basketball player, because it doesn't impact you. All it impacts is your fandom. Now, the organizations have to be very mindful of it. I get that. But if you watch Kelly Oubre play, he did everything the coaches asked him to do, and let's be quite honest. You're trying to not end up like the New York Knicks and go a half century plus without a championship. Well, we're 41 years right now. So you need to stop worrying about smacking people on the wrist and worry about what they're putting out on the court. Because once that television goes off and once you leave that arena, you're no longer associated with that team. So and I think I'm going to give him – I don't think he had more mysterious incidents this season than he's had in the past. So I'm gonna give Kelly the benefit of the doubt, but I think it's gonna be harder to keep him than people think. Keith. I think people, are gonna be, hey, we've seen enough of a body of work, even with the tomfoolery, and we can talk about this a little bit more when we get back after the break. But right now, I want to talk to folks about LinkedIn and the benefits of LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Free. And LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, as billion with a B, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and extremely intuitive. So hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. It's so easy, in fact, that 80% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So again, make sure you do it. LinkedIn.com. Go to LinkedIn.com and we have access to 2.5 small businesses using LinkedIn to hire. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day.
Do it today, people. Definitely do it today.
Do it.
We'll get into the Zach LaVine thing in a second, but like you mentioned something. I mean, maybe we could do it for the last one, but you mentioned something about Kelly, and it's right. It comes to a point though where you look at him, and he's always been a good player.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say that stuff is overblown.
I do.
But at the same time, are you okay? Prime example, James Harden. Nobody parties like James.
Right.
No one does. James Harden, he loves partying. He likes going there. AI did the same thing. Gary Payton, guys like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of like, it is different standards. And I'm not just saying that Kelly is a partier, because Kelly is, with his wife and his kids and things like that. But he reacts a certain way. Like Kelly's the type of guy who, if he feels like he's not getting the ball enough, he's going to bring it up. He's the type of guy that, he had certain situations and things like that. Mm-hmm. So do you think it's fair that, because let's keep it real. If he was an all-star,
we'd be looking right past all this.
Yeah, we'd be looking right past all that. So do you think it's fair that we're bringing this stuff up and people counting his money?
Well, it has to be a consideration. I'm not saying that you dismiss it, because you can't dismiss anything, because they are red flags. I kind of get the sense that with Kelly, if we don't dismiss it, somebody will. Kelly Oubre, we can't create this image or this motif around where's Kelly. There was no camera footage of the bicycle accident. Now we do know I'm assuming there was footage, but there was a report, obviously, for the for the Lamborghini accident. Again, the on-court thing. Hey man, we dismiss. And I'll give you a perfect example. And obviously, these are two athletes that are in completely different realms. We often, whenever we saw Tom Brady blowing smoke on the sidelines, it's leadership. It's this, it's that. Anybody else in the NFL who's not named Tom Brady particularly an African American wide receiver or quarterback, they catch hell for saying some of those things and doing some of those things. And Tom Brady gets a free pass from, oh, he's showing leadership. He's a general. He's a 5-star general. All right, so Kelly blew up on the court. In that game, if I recall, ended kind of ugly. There was, I think it was a situation where a foul was called or should have been called. So
yeah,
so you look at those situations, and you look at them discerningly, but you have to give a guy the benefit of the doubt that he's continuing to mature. He wasn't a problem on team flights. He wasn't a problem in the locker room, and you can speak to this better than anybody because you're in that locker room more than any reporter in America. So you investigated. That's what NBA security is for. You hope the 76ers are using all of the access that's available to them, and you take care of it, and you go ahead and because he played very well for the 76ers. He played the way they hope Buddy Hield would play as a contributor, different type of game, but he was a serious competitor.
Yeah, I think he's a good fit for the Sixers. The only thing is, though, I do like. When we talk about it, I think he's a great fit for him.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, though, how impactful will he be? Will he continue to be as impactful once they get a third star? Because you face it, like Tobias was struggling this past season, which enabled him to become that third scorer.
Yeah.
That third thing. Now, if you bring in somebody like a Paul George or, we're about to talk about Zach LaVine in the next segment or someone like that, how does that impact him?
Yeah.
And how does he like his role? Does he like it? Does he still crash the boards? Does he still play great D? Things like that, knowing that he wants to be a bigger part of the offense. You know what I mean? So, my thing is, he did a lot of great things. I just want to make sure. I just want to figure out that it's still going to be beneficial to him to be here with a lesser role. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's a good point you make, Keith. I think if they bring it all depends on whom you bring in. I think if you bring in the guys they're looking at, and let's take LeBron James and set him aside for the time being, because of some of the things that have to happen. Although we have agreed that he is the ideal fit among free agents and potential free agents. But if you look at Butler and his fiery personality, as opposed to Paul George is a little more of a jazz riff, if I can say that. So it'll be interesting to see if which one of those guys would he play better alongside. I think he probably plays better alongside Paul George. I think Jimmy Butler comes in here and Jimmy Butler throws a little kerosene and a match in the situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Paul George is more of an even keel player. But at that point, if the Sixers reward him with a contract, and nobody else is willing to do it, then hey man, you're in the NBA. If you want to stay in the NBA, you've got to do what the team is asking you to do. And I think he's ready to do that. I really think he is. I think he can be, you drop him down, he becomes number 4 in the pecking order. Obviously, he knows that's coming regardless, right?
Yeah, he knows. So,
yeah,
he knows that's definitely coming regardless. Number 4, but he knows that it's just a matter of how do you keep him incorporated, make him feel like he's that thing, and then also do you look at him as the first thing off the bench? Because you would assume that Nico Batum, if he comes back, he's going to be starting. You assume that, it depending on what position you get. If you get a wing, you assume Nico, but then Kelly could also slide down to the 2. You know what I mean? But you do, we're not going to fool ourselves and not say that they don't need to fortify that bench.
Right.
And Kelly would be a good option, for that. So there's a lot going on there. But we're about to talk about eBay Motors in a second. and we'll be right back.
Passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your hard-earned cashola comes back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
Yeah, Mitch. So here's the thing. We talk about LeBron. We talk about LeBron. We talk about James, Jimmy Butler. I keep saying James. Like thinking about James.
Remember, you were calling me James for the longest time.
Yeah, I know, right?
20 years. Yeah, James.
I know, right? So you think about James Harden, so that's why we say that. But here's the deal. So you got Jimmy Butler. That would be a trade. Mm-hmm. You got LeBron, that would be free agent, and PG Paul George, that would be free agent thing, right? So those are the three prime guys that you look at and you say to yourself, they will help the 76ers out, right? But they're also three of the guys that might be the hardest to get right now.
Yeah,
like PG, whatever. Like if he opts out, if he comes to Philly, so be it. But you don't know what he's going to do with the Clippers.
Right.
LeBron, it would be great, but at the same time, a lot of people think that he's going to stay with LA with the Lakers, right? Mm-hmm. And it just seems like to get Jimmy Butler is going to be a lot of stuff. Like Pat Riley doesn't want to trade him, especially doesn't want to trade him to the Sixers. So there's other guys, there's second tier. So Brandon Ingram, we talked about him. And then there's Zach LaVine. And the thing about Zach LaVine is when you talk to certain people around the league, they're like, oh, yeah, they'll be willing to give Zach LaVine to the Sixers. And the reason being is because he has close to $150 million left in the books. So what happens is he has $43 million this upcoming season that he'll make. The following season, he'll make 45.9. And then the third season, 2026-27, he has a player option for $48.9 million. Now, you look at Zach LaVine, he's a guy who is he's a two-time All-Star, really athletic. The problem is his last game that he played was on January the 18th, right? Mm-hmm. Against the Toronto Raptors. He's only played in the career, well, that ain't even a career low. He played in 25 games this season, averaged 19.5 points. So he was dealing with the injury. So my question to you is, do you go after a guy like that?
Yeah, it's hey man, that's why they pay these guys the big bucks. I know he's talking about a 28-year-old guy who did play 25 games, and no, that's not his career low. But he's a guy that prior to that, he gave the Bulls 77, averaged 24.8 the year before, gave him 67, year before 24.5, year before that 58. That's kind of like the 27.4. He's a guy, people say he's not a perfect fit, but then, the same people say he's not a perfect fit will say this is positionless basketball. I think exceptional players, and he's way above average as far as the NBA is concerned, particularly as a scorer. I think those guys figured out. You figured out, and hey, listen, this is why they got Nick Nurse. They've had back-to-back coaches that have won championships. So I think they're at the top of the market and say, hey, as far as in terms of pedigree and the pedigree for their coaches. I like LaVine because he strokes that three, very, very well. This guy has shot 41% from the field from the 3-point line before, 38% from the 3-point line, 37% before from the 3-point line. And I think that he's a guy who can do it. You can put him on the ball for stretches, and let's face it, that's what the NBA is. It's the situation you're in. It's a lot of circumstances dictate what you'll do. Because yes, you do want to relieve Maxey of those duties. He's somewhat suspect. Man, I've been rambling, man. But do you give him that money? If you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah, here's the thing. So he turned 29 in March, right?
Okay.
So the deal is, he what did he say? Like, he said he's well ahead of schedule, right? And we're ready to resume full workouts and play well before the start of training camp. So I'm assuming that has to be one of those things where, you want to see this guy work out. Like, you know what I mean? Like go to, I'm pretty sure, a lot of these guys go to LA. I believe he has a crib in LA. They go to LA. They want to see him working out with people. Now, this is what he said back in March. I feel really good. I get the boot off soon. I've been able to be out here rehabbing, getting everything right. I just have to wait for the tendon to heal. And other than that, it's a straightaway rehab. My legs feel strong, but body even feels good. Getting ready for another birth of my child. So we're happy. 3 weeks, the boot is taken off, and then the doctors assess it. So at this point, the boot is taken off, right? Because this was early March. So he says, I think recovery was supposed to be 3 to 4 months. I'm a little bit ahead of schedule right now. So let's hope it stays that way. I'm just feeling a lot better. I was able to take the cast off. I've been walking around. The boot is the main thing I have to stay on. I'll be pretty ready to go before next training camp. I'm just trying to get ready for rehab once the boot gets off. So, you know what I mean? We'll see. I mean, what goes on. But, the thing is, he was averaging 19.5 points, shooting 35% on threes. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, he played in his last game for the Bulls on January 18th and finished the season with the lowest scoring average since returning from his ACL return of 24 games in the 2017-18 season. So to me, it's kind of like, yo, dude, like he had an ACL injury then. Now he has a foot injury. So it's like, it just seems like for whatever reason, some of these guys that they're going after are trying to go are either old or banged up or both for the most part. That's a problem if you ask me. They're either old or banged up or both.
And we can't ignore what probably and those are definitely two major considerations. I think the third consideration was with the Bulls was the emergence of Kobe White last year. At a much lower number, Kobe White stepped in and gave the Bulls 19 points per game. He shot it well. Yeah.
They look better. They were struggling, dude. They were struggling.
Yeah. And they're headed towards. The Bulls are trying to figure out what to do with a lot of players who play the same position. They're ready to rebuild, man. I'm gonna say it's a total rebuild, but they know that the pieces they have kind of clash. So
and that's a lot of money on the books for a dude that can't stay healthy. And your team looked better without him.
Yeah, but if he came to the Sixers, he's coming to an organization that's considering giving a guy who's never healthy, when it matters most, $190 million extension. So
that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't. I don't know the answer. That's why. People have said that this is the most important offseason for the 76ers in years, perhaps in the organization's history. And the man who's pulling those strings again is Daryl Morey. So It says, as Guru once said, put up or shut up.
You crazy. He said, as Guru once said, put up a shut up.
Rest in peace, Guru.
Yeah, I got you. But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening. We hope that you guys have a blessed day and the start of a blessed week. Hey, the start of a blessed month, right?
That's
This is here it is. But the draft will be here in a couple weeks, about, 26, 27. So we got 23 days away. A lot of content to talk about. We're chasing things and the whole nine. So, we'll keep you guys abreast on that. But also, I want to say this. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts on Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channel app. Do it today, people. Definitely do it
today.
Have a great one, y'all.
Peace, y'all. Stay safe.